We've had a lot of people come through talking about excitement about the ideas of neighbourhood and church.
Yeah,
local.
awesome.
And
That's
I
great.
loved how you described that in the message this morning, talking about those key functions of the church based on Acts 2.
Yeah.
And I think what's got at least one person here excited about this neighbourhood idea is that idea of local fellowship.
Yeah.
And I thought it'd just be great to have, a conversation together about what kind of we dream for these kind of spaces. And you had that wonderful story about helping people, connecting two people together, living in the same streets that had no idea they were there.
Yeah.
So what would you say, like say moving in this direction, moving towards local, what excites you about that as a church? If we, and I guess we're taking a step together and exploring this, what for you is that picture of the future in that space that generates excitement for you?
I think here's one of the things when I imagine, again, if everyone, and here's the thing, what I don't imagine is like, cool, you've got your neighborhood and now you've got to meet with this group of people X amount of times or these places. Like I think there's a real reality that I think everyone, if you talk to people about like the last 3 months, almost to a person, I've not heard many people who didn't appreciate having a little bit less on their calendar.
Yeah.
So work may not have even changed, but the amount of social interactions changed. Now, depending on how much you miss out or not, anyway, but one of the things is we all have a limited capability for social interaction. I think my vision isn't that now suddenly you have to do a bunch of things, but what we're missing often, and a lot of social research says what's missing in today's social dynamics is a middle-sized group of people you're connected to. So you can be, you and I, and let's just say one other person, let's just say Riley, and the three of us are going to get together on a regular basis and connect. We'll talk about faith, we'll look after each other, all those things. We can go like a super deep level of getting to know each other. It's just the three of us. There's a lot of being able to reveal things that are really close to the heart that could take place, it's appropriate, it's achievable. If we add 8 more people into that mix, the level of which we can all kind of know each other will come down.
Yeah.
If you come to, I think a lot of our neighborhoods may have 50 or 150 people in them. The goal is not that you know them all the way you know 2 or 3 people, but what's often missing is actually, where's that just kind of village? Like traditional human villages were usually around 150 people. And in that village, you know everybody to a certain level and you can look after each other. It's the whole takes a village to raise a child. You don't need to be best friends with everybody in your village. But when you know those people, it makes it easier to care for one another. Yeah. So what I love as well is like, how do we make it easier? I think a lot of people have felt overwhelmed. I think the world is experiencing this sense of our pace of life was unsustainable and at times overwhelming. And maybe sometimes church life has compounded that in some of the ways we've done things or not realized and gone, what if we could make everything more sustainable? It's more sustainable for the environment. It's more sustainable for, your time. When you live closer to someone, it is easier to have a relationship. And I mean, it may just be a reasonable connection, like just kind of, we know each other's names and a few details. It's so much easier to maintain a relationship when you're close to each other. I don't have to drive 20 minutes to check in on you. I don't have to add 25 minutes to just want to go and check your mail for you while you're on holidays. I can literally do it. So I love the idea of making fellowship have less friction. And I don't know, by 2030, I just imagine, what if as well, just people, they got to know more people and their neighborhoods and you're able to care for them more easily and you're able to then invite a neighbor into those spaces. I think there's opportunity in lots of directions. I just think a lot of the future could make use of more localness, being more local, using less resources in every way. And actually that's like, wow, that's awesome. Like I didn't have to add something else to my life. This is where I'm at. Yeah. So that's some of the stuff that I guess when I think about it, makes me excited.
I love it. So many good thoughts there. One of the ones that my mind just hooked onto was and I think you've preached about this in the last couple of weeks, but the greatest commandment to simply love God with all our heart, soul, and strength, and love our neighbor as ourselves. And I think one of the simple reasons we don't love as many neighbors as we could is simply because we just don't know them.
Yeah.
So it's not an unwillingness to be a kind, loving person.
Yeah.
And I think for most of us, that's in our DNA as an expression of who Christ is. But we just don't know. We just don't know people.
That's right.
If we don't know people, there can be incidental expressions of kindness.
Yeah.
But to truly love someone, you got to know them first, right?
That's right. And life is moving so fast. How is their time? You know, like, and we do all have different social circles. We might have a social circle at work, if you've got kids in the school community, if you play sport at sport. So, and all those might be totally disconnected. And then you've got your church community thrown in there as well. And if that's but at the very least, if we can make one of those areas of life a little bit easier to almost manage, like, hey, we're going to make it easier to be the church, to just to care for each other. Because if we can't care for one another well, how do we care for the world? Or when will the world do like the Acts 2 thing, go, whoa, look at how these people love and care for each other. You know, they've got something I want. And I think everyone would like a more sustainable life, a life where you really feel like you're surrounded by people who've got your back. It's not a dramatic kind of another add-on. I've got to calendar this. I've got to make a plan to be there. It just becomes a little bit easier. Hey, I'm going for a walk. Hey, do you guys want to go for a walk? And let's pray for our neighborhood. Like there's so much that could happen without adding increased burden into people's lives.
What a great picture. And so for me and you live in Alkimos.
Yes.
I live in Carama.
Yeah.
And so for both of us, we've now got True North neighborhood groups.
Yeah.
And we've come to affectionately call them just hoods. Hoods.
It's your hood.
It's your hoods.
Know your hood. know your neighbor. Love your hood. I love that phrase. That was
so
Steve right there. That was awesome. I love it. But it is like, in your hood. It's easy. If you will.
Yeah.
And I love. Here's the other thing about them. I think it's cool to actually leverage technology. So we don't live say if you go to Acts 2, they don't even have electricity. You know what I mean? Like their world is so different. And we picture they met in homes, like turned on the lights and watched the video from the the e-group thing. And, their life, they had such a different rhythm of life. You know, they had candles and typically as well, they, when it's dark, you're probably more likely to go to bed and get good rest. Their pace, everything is just totally different. So we live, again, all these factors of how culture works can lead us to not know our neighbors or to find almost a certain sense of overwhelm in trying to manage relationships. What I love about the technology and even using Facebook groups, this is just a chance for us to experiment with. It actually just helps you be connected. It doesn't mean you got to be like messaging those people every day. How you going? Because you can't, like if I know like let's just say your 3 really big needs in your life. If I apply that to 50 people, like I'm overwhelmed, But if I can just know, there's a group of people here and we can all connect to each other in an organic way. You can find like, hey, I need a meal this week, and someone else like, I'm on holidays this week. I'd love to make you a meal. So I love that how the kind of high tech, high touch, I think this is a beautiful expression of how we can make use of the gifts of the internet and social media and actually make it social. It's not just broad, it's actually how do we connect people for ministry. So I love that idea of how we can use technology to help make it more sustainable and kind of fit fellowship in 21st century.
Yeah, I love it.